Hello, my name is Danielle Harper Scott, and I will be presenting our team's Capstone project prepared by Ralph Bailu, Richard Miller, Robin Rhodes, and myself. Our team has chosen to prepare a budget analysis on the city of Fountain Valley, which is a suburban city within Orange County. In this presentation, we will cover the City of Fountain Valley's budget process, chart of accounts, the budget audit, and some of the contemporary municipal challenges the city is faced with. Lastly, we will finish the presentation with a brief conclusion. To begin, each year the City of Fountain Valley must have a budget prepared and adopted into law when the official budget year is enacted. The cycle has specific phases which sets the expectations about what tasks need to be addressed, those assigned to each task, and a deadline to complete the given task. In the most cases, preparation of the budget takes the City of Fountain Valley 6 months to a year. It takes another year to implement it and an additional 3 to 6 months to close the books in preparation for the final audit. The audit of the proposed budget is reviewed by an outside independent agency to ensure accuracy and transparency of the funds being utilized legally. If approved, the now audited budget returns to the city and is provided to the major stakeholders in charge of both the capital and operating budgets. The acceptance of the budget is usually posted in a public forum for review, such as the city's website or a public library. The executive branch of Fountain Valley's government has both the responsibility for the creation of the budget as well as the presentation for the approval by the legislative branch. The budgeting cycle imposes order, predictability, and the structure of an otherwise hectic implementation process. All of these factors are interrelated and greatly influence all phases of the organization's annual budget process. While the elected officials and their administrators have an influence on their internal environment, they have little control over the external environment. The city's budget is divided into 7 funding categories, including the general fund, special revenues, enterprise, successor agency, internal services, fiduciary, and others. The special revenue funds include revenues received from special taxes, legislations, and grant fundings. According to the budget, the City of Fountain Valley has residual monies in an amount of $6.7 million. The city plans to use these additional funds to rebuild the city's reserves and make an additional payment to the CalPERS for the pension liabilities. $4.7 million will be added into the city's reserves and $2 million will be paid to CalPERS. With conservative budgeting and careful consideration of expenditures, the city's financial struggles should be a thing in the past. Each year, an independent audit of the city is conducted in conformity with the generally accepted auditing standards. The auditors of White Nelson Dial Evans also expressed an opinion on the fairness and the presentation of the financial position and the results of the operations of the government's basic financial statements in conformity with the generally accepted accounting principles. The financial statement audits for the 2017-18 fiscal year has been completed by White Nelson Dial Evans LLP, which reflects an unmodified or clean opinion of the city's financial statements for the fiscal years are presented fairly. The city's financial statements reflect the results of the budgetary process and the strategic decision made and implemented during the fiscal year. The scope of work performed by the independent auditors also included the examination of Measure HH revenues and expenditures and an opinion on the compliance with the appropriation limits. The independent audit is usually part of the bordered federally mandated single audit design to meet the special needs of federal grantors agency. The underlying purpose of an audit is to identify compliance with the accounting practices as well as the compliance of laws created to protect public funds. It should be noted that no internal control weaknesses or auditing findings were identified by the auditors in the fiscal year 2017-18 budget. In addition to examining all of the accounting maintained by the city, the auditors also examined the procedures and expenditures that were a direct result of Measure HH revenues that are generated. The auditors reported that the Measure HH revenues expenditures for the 2017-18 are consistent with the intent of the Measure HH ballot measures and responsible spending pledge. The audit results for the 2017-18 budget for the City of Fountain Valley resulted in the city receiving the Government Finance Officers Association Award, which was a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting to the city for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2017. An award like this for an audit shows the public trust and, and that honest, ethical, moral, and sound people are managing the city's finances, as well as instilling pride with the city for such of a like all other municipalities, the City of Fountain Valley faces contemporary municipal challenges. Two of the most predominant challenges the city is faced with is managing debt accrued by pension obligation bonds and unfunded pension liabilities. Approximately 4.6 million Californians are members of state and local pension plans, 76% of which belong to state systems such as CalPERS. It has been reported that since 2008, CalPERS unfunded liabilities have continued to increase by over $103 billion. The city is actively seeking opportunities to pay down unfunded liabilities whenever additional revenues are obtained. One of the key generators of funds used to pay down unfunded pension liabilities are funds obtained by the Measure HH. It is projected by the end of 2019 fiscal year, approximately $2 million in payments will be made to CalPERS. Additionally, municipalities are faced with the demand from the public to fund and provide continued maintenance and enhancements of public infrastructures and facilities. Due to limited infrastructure funding sources, municipal entities obtain bonds to construct critical public infrastructure and facilities. In exchange for bond issuance, the principals and interest payments are accrued. As of June 30th, 2019, the City of Fountain Valley and the successor agencies totaled more than $41 million of outstanding long-term debt. To tackle the long-term debt accrued by the bond issuance, the city's 20-year financial plan was developed to perform a long-term strategic plan to pay off pension liabilities and obligation bonds. It is anticipated by 2037, the city's pension liabilities will be paid in full. In conclusion, the City of Fountain Valley has produced a balanced operating budget where results show operating revenues to exceed operating expenditures by $6.7 million. The savings for the city's reserves will receive $4.7 million and $2 million will be paid to CalPERS. This year, the city projects that they will be operating with residuals. The city plans to use these additional funds to rebuild the city's reserves and to make additional payments to CalPERS. Our group has concluded that with conservative budgeting and careful consideration of expenditures, the city's financial hardships will be eliminated. This concludes our presentation, and thank you so much for listening.